Welcome. I am Gary Tupper. I am 50501az.com and 50501az.bsky.social on Blue Sky. I remember way back, back in the days before February 5th, 2025. And at that particular time, I was quite depressed and really just shocked that our fellow countrymen had elected a person who had 34 criminal felonies, was convicted of fraud in civil court, and convicted of sexual assault by a jury in civil court, and that our country had elected a pathological liar and con man. I was in complete disbelief. And a few days before February 5th, I read in the paper that there was going to be a rally, an anti-Trump rally. So I went to that. It was at the Arizona State Capitol on February 5th. And when I got there, now I don't know if you're familiar with the Capitol at all, but at the Capitol on the east side, there's a plaza between the old Capitol building and the Senate and the House building. And then right across the street, there's Wesley Bowen Park. It has actually cannons from the USS Arizona and USS Missouri there. It's about an eighth of a mile long. And when I got there, there were people spread out all through the park and over through the plaza. I started looking for organizers who was running this event and found out that there wasn't anybody running the event, and people were just scattered all over the place. So I encouraged everybody to move off of the park over to the Capitol. And at that particular time, once we got everybody over there, Clarissa showed up with a megaphone, and she started speaking. And then after she spoke, I spoke for a little bit, and I talked about the importance of trying to all stay connected together and keep this movement going, the 50501 movement in Arizona. And somebody told us, hey, the legislature was in session, that maybe we should move across the street to the park. So we rallied everybody over to the park. And at that particular time, the crowd started to grow. And as we walked across, I started a conversation with Brian, and Brian had an interest, as both knowing that nobody really had any organization or leadership, that maybe we should start some leadership there. When we got to the park, Erica appeared, and Erica had her own megaphone, and she started speaking, and then people in the crowd started speaking. And at about that time, this crowd had grown to about 500 or 600 people. Now, bear in mind that there was no leadership. This was just people who had heard about it in the paper and read it and just showed up. So then we, Erica, I think it was Erica, started the march after about an hour going around the Capitol and going from 17th Street down Jefferson, down 19th Street, and back through Washington and back up to the plaza. It was a continuous line of people on that very first rally on the 5th. So I got their numbers, and I spoke to Brian later on that afternoon. I set up 50501 AZ, and then I called Erica the next day, and we spoke and decided to have lunch. And I said, how about tomorrow? So we met for lunch, and I called Brian, and we got together and started planning the next rally. Then we had lunch the next week, and I thought, well, Clarissa really needs to be involved in this. So I called Clarissa, and we got her involved in the whole thing to set up the next rally. At that particular time, I tried to reach out to Tucson and Prescott and Flagstaff and see if they would want to get involved in that as well. And having been there from the very beginning, it's just amazing to see how much this has grown. When we look at what happened on May 5th or May 1st, May Day, there were at least 20 cities in Arizona alone that had their own rallies, the May Day rallies, and the word is there were 20,000 people in Tucson. And the crowd in Phoenix was so large that it went from the Capitol to the Sandra Day O'Connor Federal Courthouse. 2 lanes of traffic down Jefferson that was over a mile long, just over a mile long of people marching. So it's been very impressive. Now, if you go to my website, 50501az.com, I have current events there. So it will show you wherever you're at, pretty much everywhere. There's some private events, but at this particular point, we are at about 30 different events throughout Arizona. We're talking about Kingman, Globe, Safford, Sierra Vista, Benson, all over, certainly Tucson, Prescott, Flagstaff, and obviously, of course, Phoenix. And Phoenix is going to be very big. I was told that President Trump has invited the National Guard to come and attend the Phoenix event. Now, this is going to be Saturday, June 14th. Every time varies depending on the city. So in Phoenix, it's going to be from 9 to 12. So one of the things that I think is very important is very important for us to attend these rallies, to show this support, to show this voice of the people. But it really only goes so far. We need to focus on what is this going to accomplish. And what we need to focus on is making the next step in this. And what that means is winning elections. That is how we change things, is winning elections. So if you go to my website, again, 50501az.com, I also have a site that has competitive elections on it. And if you go there, I have all the congressional districts in Arizona. There are 9 of them. And there it shows all your congressmen, people by name, and their addresses in case you want to go there and protest, and also their phone numbers so that you can call them every week or twice a week to complain. More significantly on this competitive elections is it shows pretty much everybody who is running against these people. If we are going to win, we need to vote out these MAGA Republicans. Now, I think the great thing about 50501, and we have great, coordination with Mobilize and certainly Indivisible. 50501 is not an organization. It doesn't have meetings. It is more of a symbolism. It's like MAGA is Trump, 50501 is a sense of unity. And I think one of the things that is strong about the 50501 is that it's not just Democrats. It is about increasing the presence of independents and certainly Republicans. I am a moderate Republican. And, when we started at the beginning of this election, I think it was 7% Republicans opposed Trump. And now that number, I think, is growing to 20% and growing larger. So the thing about the 50501 movement is it includes the Democrats and the independents and the Republicans. And if we can get the Democrats to start moving towards the idea of having a whole new party is really unrealistic. What we need to do is we need to empower the Democratic Party by using the power of the independents and disenfranchised Republicans such as myself. So now, if you go to my competitive elections page, you will be able to see who is running. And now, if we can flip, my goal with 50501AZ is if we can flip 4 seats just in Arizona, which we can flip 4 seats in just Arizona, we will regain control of the House, and we will be able to pretty much stop Donald Trump's agenda. He will still continue to go do his crazy dictator decrees or whatever executive orders, but we will now then have the majority in the House and be able to, basically stop him in a lot of different ways. So go there and find out who's running. Now we have, I think, District 7, which is unfortunately Congressman Grijalva passed away. So that is an open seat. One of the things that we have to understand as Democrats and disenfranchised Republicans is we are going to win by empowering the Democratic Party to pick moderate candidates that are suitable, to all of us. We look at the 7 election, and that's almost a guaranteed Democratic seat that is sitting empty. That's one seat there. We have 5 or 6 people running against Juan Ciscomani, right? And that is an election that we can win. We have 5 or 6 people running against David Swigert, and that is an election that we can win. We need someone to run against Eli Crane. We've got a good candidate running against Abraham. So what we need to do when you're done with your elections is please go to my site and start looking at these people who are running, in the primaries. We're going to need a lot of money in the general election to win these elections. But right now, go find out who is running. Go help them with their campaigns. Donate some time. Donate some money to their campaigns. I ran in the Republican primary for governor in 2026, so I ran a statewide campaign. And I know how difficult it is. And they will appreciate every bit of help that you can give them with time and certainly with money so that we can start putting out some of these wacko mega Republican bootlickers, basically. Okay, so now I am, once again, Gary Tupper. I am 50501az.com and 50501azbsky.social. on Blue Sky, 50501az.bsky.social on Blue Sky, 50501az.com. So, I look forward to seeing you all out there. Go on my competitive or my current events. Find out where the events are. If you have the energy and the time, go to Tucson, go to Phoenix, and say hi to the National Guard. And I look forward to seeing you all out there in your best capacity, and I look forward to seeing all your wonderful signs and all your beautiful spirit. This is the greatest nation in the world. My family came here 400 years ago on the Mayflower to get away from a king, much like this crazy person that is running our country into the ground right now. This is the greatest nation in the world because of you, because it's a democracy, and because there are no kings.